Let's go for it.
And, all right. Good evening, everybody. And for those present and physically and online, welcome to this commission meeting for Tuesday, February the 10th. And would you please call the roll?
Mayor Faulkner.
Here.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Here.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Here.
Commissioner Golden.
Here.
Commissioner Kendall.
Here.
All right, at this time, we'll have the invocation by Pastor Doug Munn of Grace Fellowship Church. And following the invocation, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight and pray. If we can bow our heads. Heavenly Father, our Creator, we thank you for the opportunity to join here together in our community. Lord, I pray a blessing over our entire city as we look to the spring and summer. Lord, we look for your economic growth, your spiritual growth, and your blessing as only you can give. Give our city leaders and all the people here at this meeting today, our commissioners, our employees, and the citizens of this community wisdom and grace as we go about our business. Lord, wisdom and grace to have our community grow for your glory, not only for our own needs, but for the needs of others. Lord, as we go into the spring season, there's more road work and more repairs. Be with our crews as they are out and about. Bless them and guide them. Lord, we thank you for the infrastructure we have, for the grants you've given us to fix things and move forward. And we pray this all for your glory, empowered by your Holy Spirit. In the name and the character of your Son, Jesus Christ, let these things be. Amen and amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Next, review of the minutes of the previous meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? There being none, they stand as presented. Next, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and I'm going to bounce around a little bit on this. This evening, I'm going to drop right straight to number 8, a review of the City of Coffeyville payment report. And Vice Mayor, would you please give us a thumbnail sketch?
Sure. Good evening. We have Asplin Tree Expert Company for $5,292 for tree trimming. We have Atmos Energy. Those are for some new gen meters and things like that for $61,402.73. We have J. Graham Construction, $26,785.80. That is the tennis court walk to pave that. We have Tyler Technologies, $16,682.46. That looks like some inspections and things like that. All Tech Industries for the bucket truck, $245,358. Arthur J. Gallagher, $33,357. Kansas Golf and Turf Inc. We bought a mower for $15,500. The library, Coffeyville Public Library, our tax distribution to them, $232,330.81. Olson and Associates transformer replacement, $232,248.43. And Southwest Power Administration energy purchase, $13,292.36. And our payroll of $1,091,915.75. Any questions on the distribution?
Just one question.
Yeah.
Not really related to the expense, but the project. There's the pool drain valve at the aquatic center. Update on that.
There's a giant hole in the ground. We got, I believe from Kansas Rural Water, we got a box to put in there. So we have to get down in there to do work. Basically, when we went to go fix repairs, there was no way to access this maybe 20 feet down. Is that right, Jim? And so backhoe's gone in there. We've dug it all out. They've been working on that. They've been putting in that box for safety measures and for collapsing. When we first talked to the group about ordering that, it was, yeah, no problem. We can get that to you quick. We finally ordered it, and it was, oh, this is 6 weeks out. And so we're just waiting to finalize that project. Shouldn't, and I do not anticipate it having any implications on opening the pool. We should be done and wrapped up well before then.
All right, thanks.
All right. Any further questions?
I do. In the, what we're talking about in the, I believe it's out of the economic grant, there's 2 payments to 2 artists.
Yes.
Is that for the murals that they gave to us in the last meeting to approve, or is that for the upcoming work?
That grant is for the murals for the train tracks on
Yes.
11th and 12th. And so we've paid those artists are paid to then go do that work, and they have to have it complete, I think, by June for us to put that up there.
Okay, because I was always under the impression you get paid after the work is done. But on the other hand, I understand that. But what if they don't complete it by the due date?
Amber, what does the agreement say within the due date?
If they don't complete it, there's callbacks where they have to pay the refunding back.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any further questions? All right, then, for the remainder of the items on the consent agenda there, I've, rather than wading through all of those, and I understand, we probably all understand what's going on here, I've asked our city manager to give us what I'll call a Reader's Digest condensed version for the benefit of the public and the press of exactly what all these mean. Ben?
Absolutely. 711 South Walnut Street. That is moving to multifamily residential. That is has come to the commission on several occasions about the housing investment we're doing in downtown, and so the zoning has to change. 9th Street is the 2 houses that the city built. We built on 3 lots. This is cleaning up the deed, turning it into 2 lots and putting it in the appropriate property owner's name. 4th Street is this was a lot owned by the city that is next to a resident. That resident has come in and asked to purchase that lot to extend the size of her property. The city didn't have any other use for that other than mowing it, and so it's selling that piece of property. Then there's a quick claim deed to transfer city-owned property into the land bank. We try to manage all of our vacant properties or owned properties out of the land bank and found one that was not associated with the land bank, and so this is just moving the deed to the city's land bank. And then the last one is the old fire station, again as part of that residential project in downtown. That fire station is dilapidated and been falling in. That is, as part of that housing deal, that property is being deeded to the developer with the intent to tear it down and ultimately be using it for parking for that residential housing.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, any questions at all about any of these items?
No more questions for me?
No, good.
All right then, if no further questions, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I'm sorry, was that Commissioner? I'm sorry.
Alec.
Okay. Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks, to approve items 1 through 8 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye. Next, we have comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. Commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Are there any present who wish to address the commission? There being none, we'll move on to regular agenda items. First of all, under public hearings, special presentations, and proclamations, the first item is a public hearing to evaluate the performance of the CDBG Grant 23-PF-020 for the multi-use trail project. Amber Dean, Director of Community Development, will make comments.
Hello. So we have wrapped up our CDBG project on the trails, and it's just time to do our closeout hearing. We've passed all of our monitoring, everything was free and clear, and we're good to close out. I just need approval to close the grant officially. And you gotta open the public hearing and everything.
Open.
Okay. Now open the public hearing, and there is no vote needed. I will now open the public hearing to receive comments regarding the performance of Grant 23-PF-020 for the multi-use trail project. Any comments from the public? There being none, I will now close the public hearing. And I move to approve the closing of the CDBG Grant 23-PF-02 for the multi-use trail project and authorize the mayor, myself, to sign the closing documents.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples, to approve the closing of CDBG Grant 23-PF-020 for the multi-use trail project and authorize the mayor to sign closing documents. Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
All right, next on the agenda, old business. Second reading of ordinance G-26-01, an ordinance amending certain provisions of Chapter 6 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Coffeyville, Kansas, relating to animals and animal control. Any further discussion?
I will move to approve the second reading of ordinance G-26-01 as presented.
Second?
Motion is made by Vice Mayor Maples, seconded by Mayor Faulkner, to approve the second reading of ordinance G-26-01 as presented. Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Next, under new business, discussion and action to consider an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to deny a variance request allowing a portion of an 8-foot fence at 2209 West 3rd Street. City Manager Ben Brubaker will make comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In speaking with the owner of that address, 2209 West 3rd Street, determined that he was not going to come today. We did not have appropriate notice to remove that, and so wanted to keep that item on the agenda. He did ask that he mention some of his action statements, what he's considering doing. I know he did reach out to a number of commissioners to have conversations with you. Two things I think that he wanted to get across is, one, he was concerned with the process at Planning Commission. He felt like he didn't have the ability to stand in front of that commission and to articulate why this was important. He felt like that board had already made a decision before he even came in and was able to describe what he wanted to do. Secondary to that, he said that he is going to, after hearing from some of the commissioners, consider going back and rewriting that application to do a better job, pictures, design, whatever that may be, and re-go through that process, and so that it can be perhaps looked at in a different light, that he may not have given it enough attention that he should have. So that's what he asked to be passed on. I do believe in this instance we do have some members of the public here that may still want to address, and since that item is on the agenda, I believe, Mr. Mayor, we can still give them that opportunity to address this. In addition to that, procedurally, Commission does have really three options. You can still approve this, deny this, or take no action. And when no action is taken, when there are no motions, the item just is essentially dead and we would move on. So those would be the options here in this case. Paul, anything to add to that procedurally?
What's the difference between no action and deny?
Well, you're basically abstaining, I suppose. You're not taking any action to affirmatively deny it, but it's going to die for lack of action.
So a deny vote would mean it's coming back to this body again?
No,
No.
no.
If you take no action tonight, you could table it as well. I suppose that would be a fourth option, but if you don't take any action tonight, it's just going to die.
If we table it and give him time to come up with the better diagram and pictures and plans that you just mentioned, Mr. Brubaker, would that be an option?
I think probably what's most appropriate per our ordinances is to just go through the process again. We do have that planning board. The commission gives them authority to act based on our ordinances. And generally, if commission does not see any major discrepancies with that board's decision, anything that would be further should revert back to them. So whether you approve or deny, it does not go back to that board. Taking no action, it doesn't go back to the board. It would fall upon him to take further action if he wanted to go through that process again.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with that information available, I move to deny the variance request, allowing a portion of an 8-foot fence at 2209 West 3rd Street. Do I hear a second?
I was just going to suggest that there may be members of the public that want to comment on this
all right,
before you.
fine. Are there any members of the public here would like to, my apologies, anyone would like to speak, please come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Susan Brown, and I live at 311 Edgewood Drive. And if you're familiar with the area, this property, his shopping things my property backs up to his. And I'm just wanted to say I was excited about this fence and was really sad when it didn't go through, because for me it would be great privacy. I've always wanted a fence there, but I can't afford it. So anyway, I just wanted to put my 2 cents. I think there's a lot of people who don't want it, but I'm for it.
Right.
So it would be great as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others would like to make comment? All right.
Good evening. I'm Megan Martin. I live at 2211 West 3rd, and I also have property that butts up against this proposed property with the fence there. And I know that some of you guys have already heard my thoughts and concerns about this. My family spends a lot of time outside on our patio, and we've enjoyed making that a space that to be enjoyed by our family and our friends. And we understand that there is probably going to be at least a 6-foot fence put up. We know that there's provisions for that, but the difference between the 6-foot and the 8-foot fence is at least what we think is reasonable enough of a reason to come here and to show up here and to connect with some of you and share our concerns. So as a budding property owner, we are not in favor of it. And I also know that, at least to the Planning Commission, I don't know if you guys got those as well, that there were other neighbors who either submitted letters or made calls to share their concerns and kind of push for a denial of that. So we're asking you to kind of just uphold the Planning and Zoning Board's Commission's decision on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from anyone present?
Mr. Mayor. I was just looking over some of the ordinances here in the city of Coffeyville. It says residential fences are typically limited to 6 feet in height, side or rear yards, 4 feet in front yards. While 8-foot fences may be allowed for specific commercial or industrial applications, residential fences exceeding 6 foot generally require an approval or a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals. If I understand this correctly, the denial has already happened by the Board of Appeals, according to...
Zoning.
Or zoning, pardon me. The Board of Zoning?
Yep, the planning and zoning has already denied. The request for appeal is coming to this board.
Got it. Thank you.
I got a question. So, in the Planning and Zoning Commission said that they denied it because of, they've denied some in the past, one or a few in the past. Do they do that as a whole, just deny them all? Or do they kind of go off of individual issues or individual that comes up?
I believe what you're asking is, I cannot speak to the history, and perhaps some commissioners can more than I can or that board. One of the things that is being considered to take back to that commission is some addresses and pictures of properties that do have a variation of 8 down to 6 feet. So they've shown me 2 of those. They're considering, again, reapplying this to that planning commission. So what that board has or hasn't done over the years, there are some in town. I'm sure there are probably several that are not. We could probably go back and search minutes from those board and try to find that. That would be time consuming and difficult. We might just ask that board or commission that has been here for a while if they've seen that. But I would say that it's a balance of there's been yeses and there's been nos, and probably for a variety of reasons. But those would each be specifically held within the minutes of that planning board. Hard for me to tell you and give you examples right now.
As far as my recollection, it is very rare.
Very rare that they deny it.
Very rare they
That they approve it.
variance.
Okay.
Yeah, very rare. It'd have to be for, anyway.
All right. Thank you.
Now, one more time.
All right.
Go ahead.
Given that information on this issue before this commission at this time, I move to deny a variance request allowing a portion of an 8-foot fence at 2209 West 3rd Street. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Was that
Second.
Commissioner Golden? Thank you. Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Golden, to deny a variance request allowing a portion of an 8-foot fence at 2209 West 3rd Street. Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
I do just want to suggest to make sure it's clear for folks. This wasn't a denial of the fence. It was just 8 foot. 6 fence is within our ordinance, and you see those all over. So people aren't confused. It's not denying the fence, just the increase from 6 to 8.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Moving on. Resolution R-26-17, a resolution to approve a work authorization agreement with Alger Martin and Associates for engineering services on the wastewater treatment plant blower motors project. Director of Public Works Jim Wright will make comments.
Good evening. I think the next 2 presentations are kind of go hand in hand on the R-2617 and also R-2618. The first one here is a lump sum bid to provide services for the wastewater treatment plant blower motors. The blower motors we have in the compressor building supply air to the 4 basins where wastewater is treated. The air that is pumped in there is kind of the lifeblood of the algae or bugs that we have in there that treat the system. Right now, the soft starts on these motors are going bad. They're not, can't replace them. They're original to the building for the structure when it was built in 2001. We are looking to replace these with variable drive frequencies, which would lower the energy cost and would not be running the motors wide open, the compressors wide open. So this is a study to determine how and where we do this at. Do you have any questions, or would you like me to carry on with the piping, which is the next one?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
The next one here is also with Algier Martin. It is a lump sum for the air supply, the basins. The piping is the original piping to the plant that was built in 2001. It has many leaks, and there is piping that runs to all 4 of the basins and also back to the lab or the treatment facility where the UV lights are, where there's air used in the treatment in the UV lights. So this would be a study and plans to see how bad it is and come up with a plan to fix that.
So if all this stuff is 25 years old, we replace this and we expect it to last another 25 plus years.
No, it'll last longer. The piping will last longer.
It'll be better this
Yes,
time
it
around,
will.
right?
Yes, it was
Better
black iron that
material.
was put in there. We're hoping it's not all Swiss cheese, and maybe we can patch some places and it won't cost that much, but we're prepared to replace it all.
Is there any kind of what do we have in the way of a warranty for the blower?
Well, this is just the engineering study to help us determine how we're going to handle this and how we're going to do this. Now, they will come with manufacturer warranty on the VFDs.
Okay, but you don't have that information yet?
No,
No.
this
Too
is a
early.
study to
Okay,
find
too
out what we
early.
need to do.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
early yet?
The-
Okay.
Correct.
But I'm guessing,
The warranty's passed for this one. It's 25 odd years
Oh, yeah.
old. Yeah.
well, the equipment and the work will come later.
Yes, that is
You have
correct.
Any idea of that? Probably $400,000 to $500,000 later?
I do have an estimate that they provided with us. On the good end, on the piping, they're looking at $140,000 cost. On the blowers and the probes, that would need to go in there, and the VFDs, we're looking at $900,000 area.
How many blower motors?
I believe there are 4.
4.
And that's total, not each.
No, that's
This is
total.
total for the study.
That's what I'm
Well, I
saying.
mean, this is
Yeah.
what
For the
they're
project.
projecting this cost would be for the VFDs.
Okay.
And the DOs that go inside the basins that would sensor the oxygen levels, that would determine when the VFDs kick on and turn the compressors on, supply the air. It's got to keep the oxygen levels right inside the water to keep the bugs happy, to keep them doing
Keep the
what they do.
bacteria doing their job.
Their thing.
Correct.
So this is going to be about a $1.2 million project.
Hopefully not, but yeah, they're projecting it to be that.
Hopefully they overestimate it.
That is correct.
Sometimes they do
Hope-
that.
Hopefully it's not as bad as what it could be.
Yeah, Commissioners, it's, good to note here again, this is a 25-year-old plant. If we look at our water plant, it's 53 years old. Staff has said that over the years that we haven't done things like this when we've had issues, and so we're at the place where we're at. So we're trying really hard to keep this one going. I did send an email this last week just letting you know about an inspection from KDHE and the EPA that come out, and we'll get regular inspections out there when you're dealing with the effluent water that's going back in the river. They're always watching and paying attention. And so these concerns, some of you have recently had tours and you've seen the boxes open and the issues. We've talked about some of those issues that we've been trying to keep up with. But this is really getting to a point where we have to act, and not budgeted,
Yeah.
but something we have to do.
Last year we got the UV lights for the last stage put in, so
We-
that's,
We approved the purchase of them.
okay.
Those have not started yet. We
So
have
when we
been
do-
dealing with engineers to determine the proper way to install and how to supply the proper amount of air that is required.
So barring any other things, we do that and we do this. The plant's good for,
Sure.
Well, we're,
No,
In a perfect
don't
world-
expect that. It's a 26-year-old plant. Look, do we have people that are in there constantly watching, evaluating multiple shifts? Yes. These things have come up and surprised us because it's the age. But when you talk about other things, how many times have we either refurbished or had to replace the pumps on the far side. We just went through that too.
There are several pumps that have been refurbished many times. There's the 4 raw water pumps. There are other pumps. There's other electric motors. There's drive motors that we have had to rebuild and replace.
Right, those things, are they on a 3 to 5 year maintenance rebuild plan? Or you just wait till they break and it might be 2 years, it might be 10 years?
We have enough capacity currently that we have spare compressor. So when something does go down, we have a spare compressor to start. We usually don't use all 4 raw water pumps unless we have massive amounts of rain and we have infiltration and we have to pump them over to the other basin. So usually it works out so we don't get inundated with rainwater.
Yeah, I think a lot of this is the age. A lot of this, we made some assumptions that some of this would last longer. So some of these things are surprising us. But to go in and just replace like these pumps, you want to keep them going as long as you can. And so the maintenance on that is have a backup, get the other one refurbished. That's been the same at the water treatment plant. You know, we've got a pump in there that we've been in there for 20 years. It went through the flood. And it's been replaced, it's been refurbished. So there are things where we have to have maintenance plans like that. We're building that out right now with our new facilities department in a lot of areas, but on these operational plants, it is a little bit different.
Yeah, this is one you just can't turn off.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
How many engineers, different engineer companies have you had to put bids in?
We only did this one. Algier Martin is the company that actually designed the wastewater treatment plant and oversaw the construction originally in 2001. We worked very closely with them and also the water and wastewater. So we have asked them to take this on.
So we have some agreements with engineers on things like this where we're talking about a plant that we can't go through a bid process. We have to get in and do it. And so we have one with Algier Martin. We have one with Olson on electric. We have some with BG on streets. So there are definitely projects like our road construction projects where we're going out to bid to get the best costs. And then there's others where we just have long-term agreements with engineers and they do that work as it comes up. So this is one of those cases.
Thank you.
Okay. Question on the last one there on 19. Aside from the fact that it's old and requesting this structural evaluation and engineering report, were there any or are there any extraordinary structural issues that came to light, that have prompted this request? Or are we just doing this in order to see if they find something that needs to be addressed?
Okay, you've moved on to the next one. This is for the water plant.
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
know, I think
that's
we've
the
had
next one.
discussions
That's
about.
yeah, I jumped ahead.
Okay. So we have had discussions about how the new water plant, that we had that study that was done in 23 or 24, and it was going to be in those dollars, $80 million for a new plant, $40-some million to rehab the existing plant. We have come up with a solution which is going to be hopefully extend the life of this plant for 25 years. And that's upgrading the electric, redoing the pump house, increasing the capacity with our upflow clarifiers. Right now, we're working on getting the piping going up the hill to the reservoirs redone. The contractors showed up last week to start that project. And this is, in order for us to go forward, we want to make sure that the plant, all the structures, the basins, the building, the pump house is structurally sound, which will last another 25 years, so we can spend another $5, $8, $10 million on this plant to make it last another 25 years. So the reason, we've been waiting on this proposal for probably 4 months, and they were getting a company out of Colorado who does destructive testing, and so that they can test the basins, then repair them, and make sure that everything is going to be sound and going to last another 25 years.
Mr. Mayor, so the better part of 18 months ago, Algier Martin did a study, but the parameters of that study at the water plant would be, what does it cost to refurbish or build new? What we've done over the last 18 months is try to come up with an alternative option, and that's what this one is. So to answer that question, no one has come in and said, does this plant, are these buildings, are the basins viable? So paying for this is what we're hoping to get out of that. Now, we could have an answer of, no, this thing is not lasting 20 more years. That could be the result out of this, and we have to come back and say, how do we start planning for a new water plant? We're hopeful that they're going to come in and say, with these modifications or with these additions, with this maintenance, you can make this last 20 more years. So the first study I think you're talking about was purely what does it take to refurbish or rebuild? This would be the first of its kind in the last 18 months.
All right, thank you. Any commissioners, any further questions on any of these? All right, we'll start with the top then, Resolution R-26-17.
All right, I'll move to approve Resolution R-26-17 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples to approve Resolution R-26-17 as presented. Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Next,
Go ahead.
Resolution R-26-18. I'll move to approve Resolution R-26-18 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Mayor Faulkner to approve Resolution R-26-18 as presented. Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye. Next, ours, Resolution R-26-19. I move to approve Resolution R-26-19 as presented.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks to approve Resolution R-26-19 as presented. Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Commissioner Golden.
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall.
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner.
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Moving on, Resolution R-26-20, a resolution to authorize the transfer of $50,000 from Fund 370 Hillcrest Golf Course to Fund 380 Hillcrest Golf Course Depreciation and Replacement Reserve. Director of Finance, Martin Cummings, will make comments.
Good evening, Commissioners. So, when we had originally set the 2026 budget for the golf course, at the time of the budget process, we had anticipated much worse performance out of the golf course through the course of 2025. Pleasant surprise, we didn't do as bad as we thought we were going to. So in fact, we actually almost did the opposite in terms of net cash inflow. So what we would like to propose is that we take $50,000 of the cash from the golf course operating fund and move it into its reserve fund. This is not part of the budget, which is part of why we are coming to you to get that appropriated. And the idea being that the golf course still has some significant needs that we elected to not plan for because of those budget concerns, but now that we realize we do have this, I'm going to call it a cash surplus, but like this, okay, because the golf course is subsidized by other funds in the city. But what we'd like to do is hold that aside for some of these problems we know they're going to have. There's a fairway mower that they're going to need to purchase. There's some repairs to the pro shop, a number of other things that are going to need to be attended to, preferably this year, not next year, which is originally what we were anticipating. But because we do have this surplus, we would like to allocate that over to reserves for those eventualities. Any questions?
Any questions?
No.
No, I think the golf course is doing great. I think
Yeah.
there's been positive feedback from the things.
So I
that are
guess,
going on.
I guess the short answer then is from a family perspective, we've got too much money in the checkbook and we're gonna move it over to savings.
Yeah, it's a good way
More
to look at
or
it.
less.
More or less.
Marty, whose discretion are those funds allocated or distributed? Is that the golf course superintendent? Would they need to come here for?
Yeah, they'll have to come here because because these were not expressly budgeted last year. We're allocating these over, and so when it's time, there's kind of one of two ways this could work, and this is according to our procurement policy. If it's under a certain limit, which I think is still at 25,000, city manager can authorize that. If it's over that amount, we have to bring that to commission.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
None.
All right, then I move to approve Resolution R-26-20 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples to approve Resolution R-26-20 as presented. Commissioner Golden,
Aye.
Commissioner Kendall,
Aye.
Mayor Faulkner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right, next we'll move on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few items this evening to review with you. First, America's birthday, 250 years. There is at multiple federal and state levels a lot of celebrations throughout the year. Some have already started. You may have saw in the newspaper that the City of Independence did some partnering with school district and some other community groups, and they had an event. So at staff level, we've been trying to decide what can we do, how can we do, how do we recognize this. Of course, we are not event producers. We've had a lot of people from the public come in and ask us to go put events on. There are several events that happen over the rest of the year, especially in that summer window. And so we've discussed right now our social media campaigns, probably starting in May, to just really focus and remind the public of America's 250th birthday party here. Of course, July 4th being that day, which would be a Saturday. But if commission has ideas, things that they've heard, we'd love for that to come in so that we can monitor that. Working with some of the other community partners in town, a lot of those special events come through us, and we can remind and encourage as well and see what level of participation. So we don't want the public to think that's not on our mind. That is very important to us as well. And just trying to find that balance of the city going on and putting on an event when there's already a lot of events that can also include that level of celebration.
Are there any other organizations that are in contact with us, the chamber?
Yeah, yep.
Any others?
We always have lots of conversations with the chamber from both the tourism side and just partnering side with our communications manager, very actively involved there. We have, Melissa and I met with the summer celebration folks and reminded them. I don't believe they're going to change the dates on that, but that is on their mind. I meet with the Fair and Rodeo Association. I think we're scheduling for the next week or the week after. We're going to be talking about that event, so it will come up there. Recently gave a special application permit to the Veterans Memorial Association. I have that right? They're here.
Coffeyville Veterans Memorial Park Association.
There it is. I missed a word or two in there. In the last few years, the community band has put on the memorial celebration out there. The band director that was doing that is no longer in that role, so they're discussing that as an option as well. So yes, lots of conversations are happening. Again, I think we're encouraging that as part of these events versus the city doing an event.
Do we have like a forum or something where just regular citizens could maybe come up with ideas, maybe get a hold of the communications department or something like that?
Yeah, people are welcome to, on our social media, reach out to us, reach out to you commissioners. So again,
Yes.
if you hear something, letting us know. But again, that balance of us taking budgeted funds to put on an event where a lot of these places already have events planned and already budgeting it, and we can support that. I think that's what I would encourage initially, but absolutely open to ideas, right? So we want to hear those. This is me letting the public know, letting the press know, letting you know that we are looking for those ideas, and maybe something will come up that we should incorporate. We do have our event, which is the National Night Out in August. That's I think federally they're saying we're going to celebrate this birthday all year long. So that's something that we could incorporate at that level as well.
Thank you.
Yep. I did want to mention, this was a little bit of a change. I visited with some of you as we came up to our weather event. Running our generating electricity is very complicated in bad weather. And so there was anticipation that storm could be like Winter Storm Uri of several years ago, which was very bad. It wasn't. However, we were charged at a higher rate for gas, and so about $370,000 that we were not expecting to spend in gas. I would be happy to sit down and go over those details with any of you if you'd like. The complexity there is interesting, but essentially, the day before you're going to run an engine, we have to go to our gas supplier and say, we want to buy this many units. And so you're kind of projecting what's going to happen. And so we upped our projection for that winter storm. And so we were going to spend about $1.2 million over that weekend in gas. We ended up spending closer to $1.5 million. So that 1.2 is covered in our agreement with GRDA on what their costs are. But there's always adders, there's always higher costs when there's weather events like this. Of course, the fear was that gas wells freeze up in Oklahoma and Texas, and you now can't get as much of that gas, and so then those prices, which gas is, that kind of gas is not regulated. So there's just lots of complications. But to answer some of the questions I've been getting, we did go over that, about $370,000. That is made up in PCA charges. That's what the PCA is for. For new commissioners, we can have more and more conversations about that. But the commission, I think 2 years ago, maybe 3, made that a 6-month rolling average so that our residents don't see big spikes in their PCA. So over the next 6 months, there'll be some of those slight increases, but that PCA is to make up for things like that. So I wanted to say that out loud. It was not in the millions like we are worried it was, but it's still $370,000 is a lot. Consent agenda, that is for our commissioners who have been on for a little bit longer. That is new for our newer commissions. You've probably seen that a few times. Our intention, as we've been looking at the agenda, consulting with the city attorney and with our clerk, that there's opportunity to add things to the consent agenda. You would still get a staff report. The public would still get that staff report. That staff report goes over the details, but consent agenda is often held for things which are not going to be not problematic, confrontational, that we're going to disagree on. They're held for administrative things that might be repetitive or you just have to do. But just like we did today, what we would expect in those motions, that you can go through and someone can make a motion to approve 4 of 8 items and leave the rest for comment. And we will still have staff here. We can still go into detail, but we're trying to find that balance on things that administratively belong there, where we've been putting them down in the discussion area. So know that we're going to do that moving forward, open to comment, criticism, sarcastic remarks, whatever you'd like, or just positive feedback on the way we're doing that, but trying to make things more efficient for this meeting and for still making sure there's transparency and accountability in that process. Social media. We talked about this a little bit. This always comes up. Our clerk and communication manager are always trying to make sure that we're following public records, public information laws appropriately. We have a 2-page sheet here that Melissa's going to email to each of you just for your review. This is how to talk to your elected officials about social media. So there's an interesting balance there. The 2 things I want to point out as a reminder for those who have been on, and as a reminder, we kind of went over this for our new folks, is there's a balance and you have to be careful. What I don't believe you want, you may want this, and then that we'd have to do further action, but you don't want your personal social media to become open to records requests. And so part of some of the keys that folks like the League of Kansas Municipalities, our city attorney, will recommend is if you are a commissioner and you are going to communicate about commission business, that you put a disclaimer, maybe in your about section on your social media, that says something about these views are mine and do not necessarily reflect the views of the city. The other thing to be careful of, if you are talking about business on your personal page, is blocking or deleting posts. So this page gives a few examples of lawsuits from other communities where there's a perceived First Amendment violation if you as a commissioner are blocking or deleting posts. So there are some commissions out there. I don't know of any in this state, but they've gone to archiving, and that if a commissioner wants their social media to be archived, they can do that as well. We're trying to do that right now with our social media. Of course, we have 7 Facebook pages, and so we have to keep record of that because of those state statutes, that stuff cannot disappear. We had some things come up this past week with the Coffeyville Friends of Animals Facebook page. There was a transition. We were going to be turning that over to the city. In the meantime, the owners of that page did some blocking and some removing of posts, and we had people calling me saying, well, you can't do that. So that's on people's minds, and I just want to make sure that you realize that could apply to your social media as well. And I would assume that no one wants us to add your social media, your private social media, into an archiving software, to be careful of that. So I would recommend that you reach out to myself. I can push any questions to the city attorney. You can, of course, speak with him directly. We'll send out some of this information. It's good reminders when we get things from the league and other sources to remind you as well. We want you to be safe with your own personal information, and also not to turn negatively where there might be First Amendment violation suits from the public because of a personal page. So again, if you have questions on that, please reach out. HB 2745. I also sent an email to Representative Ron Bryce today, and I copied each commissioner. I just wanted you to know what I was talking to him about as our representative. This HB 2745 is a measure to completely redo how property tax is. And I can tell you, I went up to the Hill with KMU Day, Kansas Municipal Utilities Association. I went up last week, SEK Day on the Hill. That's Southeast Kansas Economic Development Communities. And in 2 or 3 weeks, some local leaders here in Coffeyville are going up to meet with our representatives. Each time I've been up there, and when I had our representatives here locally, there's one topic being discussed over and over and over again, and that is property tax. The concern on property tax, although we know this commission in this city, how it looks at that, we've decreased it by 50% in the last year, which is unheard of. Most cities in the state cannot do that. And so what I was articulating to him is that although we do believe that we should look at property taxes closely and make decisions, there's a lot of things in this bill that's gaining a lot of momentum that severely limit local authority. The League of Kansas Municipalities, Kansas Association of Counties, other groups that we work with have been talking to us about this too and pointing out the issues they have in there. There's some positive things in this bill that could be on track to reform how property tax is managed, but there's some things in that bill that are very concerning. Having to approve budget by the vote of the public, having to start that process 2 years before, not being able to address something very much like our wastewater treatment plant, that $1 million where there reserve funding set aside when things happen, you couldn't address. So it was just pointing out what that bill is, making sure. I also spoke to him on the phone. He was very pleased that I called. You know, they don't often hear from folks. So if you wanted to go look at, again, HB 2745 and reach out to Representative Bryce, I'm sure he would love to hear your thoughts on that. I don't think anyone's disagreeing that we need to take a hard look at property tax and what those are, but within the middle of this bill is what I was trying to articulate our worries there, and that removing of some of the home rule responsibility that has been given to you as commissioners. The last thing, I just wanted to give a quick update on the tennis courts. We do expect for the north end sidewalks and cement piers to be complete in time for March tennis playing. And so that's the anticipation date. Now, we have a crazy weather event come in. That could stall that. There is a large project happening in the county, which is taking a lot of cement trucks a different direction. That's slowing down some of our projects. So we say this over and over again, oh, about this time, and then something happens. But a lot of people are asking about that, and we've given permission for people to go play. If that north side, the sidewalk, the ballards are complete, we've given permission for the public to go and start using those courts. We still will have the east side. There's a retaining wall, a sidewalk. That will mean there will not be bathroom access in March because the sidewalk is ripped out there. Part of the cement work that's supposed to be completed here by March is so that we can put shade structures in, that we can follow that up with the bleachers. So there won't be bleachers or shade in March either yet, but we're getting closer. The press has reached out, public has reached out. We're still communicating that on our social media pages and website about the status of that, but we're getting close. I know a lot of people are excited. With that, unless there's any questions, I don't have anything else on City Manager Report.
Commissioners, any questions about anything that addressed?
Comments? I do.
No.
Do you?
All right then,
I
do you,
Yeah.
Commissioners, your own comments.
Yeah. A few things. I had a citizen contact me about when is the street sweeper going to run and clean up some of the gravel and other things from the. It's been a while, they said.
Well, the snow is still melting. I think it's probably all gone now. I would say that's probably springtime, but
Okay.
I don't have a date for you right now to
That's
give you, but it's on the list.
Yeah.
Everybody liked that street sweeper. It helped us. It helps us with stormwater, helps us with those drains. We don't want all that gunk going into those drains. So
Yeah.
anticipate when we believe good weather is here to stay that we will start that up.
I had a citizen also ask me about, and I didn't see it in the animal ordinance. So I'd like clarification from staff or whoever about what can be done if somebody has a dog barking very loud, incessantly, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Boy, Paul and I have gone round and round on this one as well.
There is an ordinance that prohibits incessant barking like that. So if it's an ongoing problem, they can call the police. The police typically would come out, probably go to the owner's residence, ask them to take care of the problem. If they're called back, then that sometimes would result in a citation.
Okay. Who would give that citation?
The police officer.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one that is frequently brought up is those dogs that are barking like that are very aggressive and, you know, look like they're trying to attack you through a fence. And there's this boundary of the purpose of the dog to keep you away, what really is aggressive, what is a threat. Property rights conflicts are so complicated on both fronts here.
I was kind of thinking of a case where a dog is barking for hours through the middle of the night, keeping everybody up because the dog wants inside and the owner won't let it inside.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's not aggressive. It's not mean. It's just.
It just wants in.
It wants attention,
Yeah.
whatever. Okay. Next one. The GRDA issue. The electric. We had to pay more for gas. So I would like clarification, meet with staff or you or Chris on the contract. As I understood it.
Outage would not make it cheaper. Is that where you're going?
No.
Okay, because that was
No.
one of the questions you asked. We went and calculated,
Right.
and an outage would have cost us 1.8 million, keeping it running even though gas was over, cost us the $370.
Well, I guess my question is, was that from the gin plant running out at the industrial park?
Yeah, so
The gas to there?
Gen Plant was asked to go full steam.
Correct.
And it's usually not.
And as far as I know, the contract parameters is that GRD asks us to run, and they pay for the operating cost. And now I'm hearing it's like up to a certain point, they won't pay that gas.
Yeah.
That needs to be corrected in the contract, because what I'm,
I mean, the contract that the city
I
agreed
know.
to for 40 years. So,
So,
there is
yeah.
an opener coming. Tomorrow, Chris and I are down with GRDA. We're starting conversations. They would like to open it sooner, and we have a long list
yeah.
of things
And I'm
that
sure
we
they
want
have
addressed.
wants, and we have wants, and this
Yeah.
would be one thing.
But there is
'Cause-
absolutely discrepancy between, we are not making money on some of these. This is these contracts are very problematic for us, absolutely. And
So where my mind was going is they asked us to turn on, and that electricity's going to the grid, not necessarily for our use. So they're almost getting that electricity at a discount for us generating and selling to other customers,
yeah,
and we're eating a little bit.
yeah. So
That's my concern.
I would say, in this particular case that we're talking about, there's also a larger concern, which is not GRDA. It's natural gas,
Right.
not being regulated. And Winter Storm Uri and the millions of dollars people had to go in debt for that because it's not regulated.
And
So
I get that. We're paying it, but if GRD's asking us to turn on the gym plant to basically put electricity on the grid, not necessarily for our use, we want paid for that. We
Yes.
want the full operating cost, not
Yes.
just.
Totally agree. We're under contract, doesn't allow, but we are working on changing that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, the contract is not favorable to us. Part of that is because this contract is written when what is happening with the electric grid today is unprecedented. The change, the demand on that, and so in 2012, I think, Mr. Mayor, you were part of that commission to start talking about, let's go build this new generation. 2012 to 2017 was a whole different world as part of the demand on the electric grid, and that is part of the problem we're seeing, is how we managed, how we built a contract in one world, and it changed. And so we would like to capitalize on what the market says, not just set something in 2017 and call it that's the price forever. And so those are some of the things we're negotiating with is, let's let this roll. We know how volatile the electric market is going to be over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Let's make sure we set a contract that works appropriately within that. Now, if you come into like KMEA, that's how their contracts are written. These different places write it a little bit differently. So GRDA writes theirs for a particular reason. You've brought up in the past, are we paying for new boats to manage, the reservoir as well as just generate, where a KMEA doesn't have the responsibility that a GRDA has with the dams and reservoirs. And there are other entities as well. And so we've been gathering how they work with their clients and analyzing that too. Chris has been doing that for the better part of a year. And now with GRDA, having a legislature in Oklahoma made some changes where they can go out on larger bonds. And so it's in their interest to go extend these contracts, which is a benefit to us. They're essentially saying, we don't have an opener, but are you willing to go consider one? And so we've started those conversations.
And I think 15, 20 years ago, under normal operating conditions, we were fine with how the contract was. It was favorable to us, favorable to them. It worked out, and now conditions have changed.
Mhm. Exactly.
Any other comments, Commissioners?
Yes, I have constituents reaching out to me about Grace Street Park, the park in the middle of the road.
Yes.
Are we putting it back, or
No.
is it for gone? Is it gone?
It's gone. Yeah. So 3 years ago, the citizens voted on a park sales tax, and then the current city manager, staff, and the Parks Board put in a 10-year plan. And so that plan included removing Grace Park. It's essentially, it was in a median. It was not safe for kids to be on it. Also, the age of the park, there was no salvaging that equipment. What the Parks Board determined is to put a new park a few blocks away which I believe they're going to be calling Longfellow. Just a few blocks away. It's next to the old school that's over there. So much safer location for the children access. And then several blocks south on, what is that park called? Eldridge Park. And so both Eldridge and Longfellow are slated to be redone. I think they're budgeting like 50 to 75,000 on both of those parks, and those should commence this year. They may not be complete this year, but they're going to start those projects this year. Some of those things will come before commission. Even though the Parks Board it makes those decisions, there's ultimate authority for spending here, so you will see those.
Where's Eldridge Park? I'm sorry, I just don't know.
It's like if you go from the stockyards, if you go
Yeah.
south straight from the stockyards,
Yeah.
it's kind of like to Eldridge Street.
Oh, it's on the other side of Acme. On the,
Yes. on
Okay.
the- on
South.
that side. So that way there's a
Yeah.
park on either side of the tracks. So
Okay.
kids don't have to cross that
Sure.
railroad track to get to a park.
All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Any other questions?
I was gonna make one comment. I have seen comments, people can be snarky on Facebook about the trees, the Christmas trees in the downtown. But I have to say, they look really cute decorated for Valentine's Day. I love that. So they can be used all year. They're great. And I know we're gonna put the cannas back. I understand that. But decorating them for other seasons is a fantastic thing to do. So anyway,
Yeah.
I think it's great.
When Amber and her team looked at that, they're like, do we really want a whole bunch of brand new empty flower pots for several months? And so that idea with staff, we thought it was great. Community jumped on board. People volunteered to decorate those. That wasn't us out doing those. We had our Coffeyville Proud Day where they helped put those little trees in. They're just fake. They're fake
Yeah, they're
trees.
fake little trees, but
And they've
they're
got
great.
some cement. You pack them in the dirt and they stay there. So some the wind would shift, and when we found those, when people would tell us, we'd go and take care of it. There was a few that still had some Christmas decorations. We had given people that put stuff on, they needed to come take it off. I saw the one across from the post office this week. They were, removing those things. But then yes, we now have some people putting up Valentine's Day.
Yeah, put
stuff
up
on
St.
them.
Patrick's Day stuff. Put up stuff until we plant the cannas. I think that's fantastic.
Okay. Anything else? All right, then I have one item. I'm probably going to wind up, I'm stealing some thunder from the print media. But yesterday, USD 445 School Board voted unanimously to carry forward with the repair and restoration of the Field Kinley Natatorium.
Yay.
And that at the recent match day, the citizens of Coffeyville themselves put forth over $700,000 towards that project. So this was a very well-received vote of confidence, and those who contributed to that $700,000 are happy about that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit of color of what I've heard to that. My understanding with that agreement, and we'd have to go back to that board's minutes to verify this. This was just members of either side giving me information, but essentially the school was going to commit the first, I think it's $800,000, but a couple $100,000. Is that right? And so they will start that process. They'll go through that. They still have to get the full quote to know what the full cost is going to be. I think there's some hope and anticipation that that group doesn't need to get any funding from the city, what the city has sent a letter of commitment on. And so they don't anticipate us needing to put together loan documents and come before commission to get final approval on that amount till probably the September, October timeframe. Now, we already talked about construction projects and things get pushed back and up and forward. I think they're hopeful that they don't have to use any city money, but if they do, we would probably not see that until late summer into the fall, at which time, commission, what we would have to do, since you only made a letter of commitment, is we would draft, with city attorney's help, we would draft a loan document with the terms that you set out in your letter of commitment. We would bring that loan document to this commission for that approval to then expend those funds out of the economic development.
But, so your reading of the tea leaves, so to speak, is that probably won't happen.
My reading of the tea leaves is if they need money from us, it will be late summer, fall.
There's just
Hard to
all
comment
right.
because they don't even have a quote yet.
We
I mean,
need a good
that
quote.
project
All
could
right.
come back as $4 million and then they're, or it could come back and it's $1 million and they only need 200,000 and they've already got that, to your point, 700,000 plus in donations. They wouldn't need us. So
All right.
I don't want to go too far into my tea leaves, but fall time is probably when, if they needed our money, they'd come and we would start having to talk to put that loan agreement together.
Okay, I think the bottom line is this is a well-documented community project. It's not just the high school. The whole community is involved. Thank you. Any other comments? All right, then, Ben, under the General Staff Committee, Board Reports and Minutes, there's items there, sales tax, police report, golf course, property tax. Do we need to discuss any of that?
No,
Or just-
those are purely for your information reports.
All right.
To keep you updated on things that are happening. You're always welcome to, of course, bring that up in this meeting, previous. Some of those are interesting and complicated. You're welcome to come in and sit down and discuss them as well, but purely for information purposes.
All right, thank you very much. There being no further comments, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made by Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Vice Mayor Maples to adjourn. Can I see a show of hands? Thank you.
And if I could have IT hang around just for a second, I need some help with my laptop. Thank you.